Hello, Diana.
Hello.
Hello to my art lover and friends. Our today artist is Diana Avila. She's NAWA's member and our today guest for our art conversation. Diana, welcome to our conversation.
Thank you. I'm excited to talk with you.
Thank you. Exciting to hear about your life and your art. And so as always, please share with us a little bit about yourself and how you became an artist or interested in art.
Right. Very fascinating story. Unlike anything I've ever seen. And so I thought I was going crazy, actually. In 2017, I had a relapse from multiple sclerosis and worsening traumatic brain injury. And I was in the hospital in Sarasota, Florida. And I came out of the hospital with an MS relapse and funky vision and ended up feeling very manicky. And I developed synesthesia. And in 2017, June of 2017, I received an art ability like a flash of lightning. And I'm a person who I was a musician, but visual art, no interest, no aptitude, no study. And I'm what's called an acquired savant. And the main thing people need to know is that savants know things they never learned. So my whole art practice is based on intuition and what comes to me through synesthesia.
Wow, very interesting. So before that, you didn't do any type of art, visual art?
Not one, nothing, never. I still really don't draw. I do everything digitally through algorithms.
Okay.
So a lot of fractal work, as you can see, like the Nautilus up in the top there. And then my cats were one of my first synesthetic.
So most of your work today are digital work.
Everything is digital,
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
But I do try to bring a feel of sometimes natural media into it.
Okay. And where the subject come from?
The subjects
or the inspiration, I should say.
Right. Okay. So inspiration comes just out of the blue. It's based on what I'm feeling or sensing through synesthesia. So you see the 6 pictures there, the one in the center to the left, next to both Wilma, my co-author, and I, yes, that one, called Journey with Morpheus. And that is a fractal that I recreated with 30,000 individual strokes using algorithms. And that was the result of insomnia. Yeah. And that took about 6 hours to create. But I mean, for me, creation is just, it's a very frenetic type of activity. So I am the accidental artist. So having no references, I never studied art, didn't know artists. I go with what's inside me and what I see in front of me.
Okay, so all this happened after you came home from hospital, and then how is it like a dream?
It was, I was in my pool. I was actually in my pool. It was the evening, and all of a sudden I felt like something hit me, something struck me like lightning. And I started to see colors and shapes. Okay. And that was called synesthesia. I didn't know what was happening to me. I thought going crazy.
I still don't know what is synesthesia, but I take your word for it.
Let me explain it just in 2 seconds. Synesthesia is when the senses, we have taste, touch, feeling, they cross over. All right. So basically right now, my synesthesia now is that visual causes sounds for me. So art sings, my art's like a symphony. And when I look at art, the colors, the shapes create sounds.
Okay. So, and after that vision, let me call it vision. I think it's easier for me. you came and you sat in front of your computer and you start to put that vision or synesthesia, as you call it, together.
Yes.
All right.
And I didn't know how to do it, except that I came from a computer engineering background.
All right.
And so I worked with pieces of software I never touched. So I worked with the Adobe suite.
Okay.
And Adobe Illustrator was actually the first software that allowed me to put shapes and colors together. And I never had any training in it.
Yeah.
So that's how I approach software too.
Okay. So, but at least you were familiar with computer
Yes.
that allow you to practice this source of art in a sense and kind of your vision.
Yes.
Wow. Very interesting. So most of this is one of the early work, I believe, although you said you started from 2017.
17, yes.
Right.
Yeah, the kitty cats that were in the last picture, those were actually, that's one of my first, yeah. I did a series of cool cats, I called them. And that they were based on some of my kitty cats, so I memorialized them. That was just fun. But then, I mean, with a lot of the fractal work, like the Morpheus piece, yes.
Yeah.
It's probably one of my favorites, and the way it came to me was just crazy with insomnia.
Yeah, wow, interesting. Are they have a size into them, or they just digital and you can print them in any
Correct.
size? Yeah.
Just digital. And so that one I have in my home as a 40 by 40 inch on an acrylic, a high definition acrylic. And that gives it depth, and it's like you're going into the light.
Yeah, so this is how actually it came to you as like this. Oh, all right, very, very interesting. And then what software you use to create, for example, this particular piece, the most.
Okay, so I used this one. I used probably 5 or 6 different applications, but it started with the fractal software called JWildfire.
Yeah.
And that's a free piece of software, but you have to figure out how to use it.
That's
I mean, I use over 100 different applications in my work.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'll use a piece of software, maybe, I mean, without learning it, I intuit it, and I'll use it for one specific purpose. So this one I recreated in like a primitive way using Bezier curves. So that's contains 30,000 Bezier curves making up that friend. So I recreated it.
All right, wow. So you make it with one software and then you put it into different software for different purposes, like for
and
color
devices.
Yeah.
So I'll go from computer to iPad, back to computer, even iPhone, you know, so it passes around this Macintosh ecosystem.
Right, I understand. Very interesting. It means it actually a vision, which is many of us may have this moment as you describe it.
Right.
You know, but to visualize it, it's quite difficult to remember that moment and visualize it.
And actually, when I visualized this one, and I have a version, it was moving circularly. So I found the way to animate. And so I do have an animated version of this with music, and it's pretty
cool. Really? Oh, I wish I had it played here. Yeah. Very interesting. So this is also digital? I mean,
yes, digital. And though I gave it texture almost, you know, like paper.
Yes, I understand. So because you can create a texture within the digital as well. So what's the story of this piece of work here?
This is a piece actually that, you know, based on like the idea of stained glass.
Oh.
This one is actually going to Rome, Italy, where it's going to sit in the mother house of a big convent there. Yeah. And so this has a fractal underneath it. So there's math. Every one of my pieces pretty much is based on math and algorithms. And that was another thing that came with the synesthesia and the savantism was kind of incorporating this math.
How you incorporate the math with this?
Through a program like J Wildfire, fractal programs. I have several fractal programs.
Okay.
And they're the ones that really.
And why it's important in creating, for example, this piece of art?
Mm-hmm.
Why it's important that math it's important in this, and is it to create this symmetrical element within that? Why you use?
Yes, I mean that's a good point. Using the self-similarity, which is the basis of a fractal, and recursion. So although this retains not a lot of self-similarity to it, underneath that's how it started. And so since the algorithms and the math formulas are kind of really one of the first ways that my art manifests, that's only the beginning, but then I can use other processes, as I did with Jubilation, to create the finished piece.
So it means your concept start from math, and then your base, and then you put layer and layer and
layers, and and people have asked me to teach them my method. I can't, because I don't even understand my own method, and everything is kind of an individual work and non-repeatable.
All right, which is they came to you as how you feel. So do you remember all those process? Like, for example, for this, what was the first, what was the second, or it's just you're capturing a moment? And
yes, I'm capturing a moment, and I'm working at very much a frenzied pace. So I mean, when I first started, I was creating about 5 to 6 pieces a day. Exhausting and very manic. But that's how the gift started. The art.
Is that, or they helped you in a sense to heal? Are they a kind of a healing process for you?
Art is the most healing process for me. I have a lot of different health challenges and even some new health challenges, but art is my therapy. It's my outlet. It's the way I can express all my emotions.
Yeah, I understand, all this color and layer.
Yes.
Probably they are layer of healing, right?
This is kind of my philosophy. I don't know if you can see it.
Today is a good day.
That's right.
That's awesome.
So a day at a time, and the art that comes out of me, every day or so is really a reflection of what's going on inside.
I understand. And that's the reason you said you cannot explain or teach this, because it's like the process you go through it, but every piece is different process or different layer.
Yes.
So that's the reason you cannot say, for example, what I use for this, and come and use it, because
bingo. Exactly. And I mean, the one thing that is very common to most of my work, except the cats, is fractals. The fractal basis.
So that's the reason. That's the reason it's not easy. Like something like this, probably it's easier than to the previous one, right?
Yes. And I could use the splatters there, and this came from a lot of emotion based on the war that's going on in Israel now. Just very much, I mean, created through tears. And
I understand. So this is again layer of emotion, right?
So very much so.
What's that cityscape background?
That's just, it's really an abstraction that has, the way I understand abstract, but would it be called surrealism?
Yes.
That's not that city that just kind of came out the shapes.
So it's just a symbols of words.
Symbolic.
Like,
even, you can see the the strokes up at the top on the left, almost as if bombing, you know,
Yeah.
and
And then,
smoke.
okay, and the mixture of this color to shows this chaotic
Yes.
world which we have around us today. And that's really
Chaotic.
representative of what's happening around the world, no matter like, you know,
Yeah. Yes. And
which
it
side
almost,
you are, still it's chaos, you know.
it's chaos, but it can almost be, you know, it can be both chaotic and, you know, sad, but it can also be looked at as a lot of my work can, as rising from the ashes, in essence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I see again the technique. This is also digital, right? And you see,
Everything's digital, but I try to make, you know, I try to add that media that people understand.
yes. So because if somebody's looking, they don't know this is a digital, they'll think like it's acrylic, for example. Or,
Right. And I try to bring some of that texture.
yes, I understand. I see that. Right. So this is one of your recent work.
Yes. Very
So
much.
you started the and based on, like, for example, this definitely came based on the news and like
Yes.
happening around you
Yeah.
and how you feel.
Yes.
So that's why your painting differs kind of from day to day, right?
Yes.
Based
Yeah.
on what is around you or surrounding you.
Yes.
And so I should say the subject of your work, I don't know if I'm correct, are more about how you feel and your surrounding rather
Yes.
than like,
I
yeah,
think that's a very accurate statement, you know.
okay,
So I never, it's kind of fun to be an artist. Like I'm an artist because I never know what's coming next.
yeah. I
I mean,
understand.
it's kind of what's the synesthetic vision going to bring next? And right now I'm in a kind of cubism / like geometric abstract thing.
Yeah. And I miss geometric, I see a lot in your work. And I think what you said earlier about mathematics and all those,
Yeah.
it is like part of you. And I see this geometric work and abstract work
Yeah.
within your work, within all your work almost. But so, I mean, some artists, like for example, me, I always have the concept ahead of time before I
Oh, you
start.
do?
Yeah, but some like you don't have a concept ahead of time. The concept come to you at the moment, and then you start a work, right?
Yes. So
So
even if I'm out somewhere and I get that feeling, I could start it on my phone.
yeah, oh,
Have to.
okay. So that's how you record your concept and come to it.
Yes.
Like some artists, like for example, dream of their concept and see it in their dream. Some they have a book, sketch it for a year to come and go back
Wow.
to it. So
Yeah.
we see,
Well,
like, you know, how artists are different.
yes. Journey with Morpheus that's the closest thing for me to dreaming. You know,
Exactly. So because you saw that vision, so
yes.
it kind of daydream in a sense.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. Synesthesia is very daydreamy. It's
yeah,
kind of in your mind's eye, but it feels like, you know, I feel like I have colors and shapes in front of my face.
yeah,
Yeah.
I understand. And so what's this one about?
So this is called Nooks and Crannies, and it started out with the digital drawing on the left. You know, me just thinking of graph paper and how to start a piece, and then that's the finished piece on the right. And I love using texture and depth. So if I can, and I love hiding things in my work. So people always see different things. Somebody said they saw an angel in this piece. You know, I like to create it in such a way that people they can sit with it and see something different each time.
Yeah.
It's kind of a game for me.
I understand, like, you know, because of this multi-layer, like
Yes.
every time you look, you discover something new instead of something you see it exactly be what you're observing.
And
So
this one's a little more complex. It took about 10 different programs for this one.
10 different process. That means there are 10 different layer. Each time
10
you
different, I mean, if you want to call them layers, you could, but 10 different applications used to create all the different effects. Yeah.
And why you use different application? There is no one application that have all those ability.
No, not that I found. And the way because I use so many applications, I think of it like a spice cabinet. If I'm cooking, grabbing a spice, the spice being the application, and adding it to a recipe, just by scent or taste or whatever. I will use an application knowing it can do one thing, like adding the texture, the grungy look, or the hatching. Yeah, so maybe there is an app that does everything, but I haven't found it. So
yeah, I mean something like, for example, the traditional Photoshop or something.
And I used Photoshop in this one.
Yeah, but that doesn't have. I mean, because I work with Photoshop, but I'm not so professional in it.
Yeah.
But has texture and has color and thing.
Yeah.
But you means the level of things you want doesn't exist within that, so you have to go.
Not that I know of. That's right. So I haven't been trained in these things. So I intuit everything when I use an application. I don't read the manual. I'm just using it for my certain purpose at that moment, and it changes all the time.
So that doesn't, I mean, it's just a question. When you have, for example, 10 different applications in your computer, it won't, like your computer won't crash because obviously like so many, like,
Yeah, well, I use over 100 applications between my iPad and my desktop. And I have a MacBook Pro with an M1 from 2020, and it's got 64 terabytes.
All right.
Or not 64 terabytes, but it was top of the line at that time to be able to even handle 3D rendering.
Yeah.
And anything that can handle 3D is good.
Yes. Wow, amazing. I mean, you can just think of like you should be really patient person, because just to like go from one to another and
constantly,
it's just crazy. And
so Summer Dreaming, this one actually was in a national show in Cape Cod and won an award, which was pretty cool. But this is a piece that I put on clothing and I put on Vans shoes, and it reflects just really my heart. That kind of a happy movement, kind of musical piece. And it's part of a series I called Swirly Whirly.
Yeah.
I mean, very musical movement. And I'm moving away a little bit from that right now.
All right.
It's on this. Who knows what's going to come next?
Yeah. So you call it musical. Is that you having music, because you said you would play music and things, also a fact or influence your work?
Very much so. And when I mean, I had a musical background. I was a drummer, played guitar, but with multiple sclerosis, that's affected my hands and different things. So visual art has taken over that, where music, but I feel music come out of my soul.
Yeah. Are you listening to music when you
Yes, especially the first year and a half of creating, when I had so much coming to me, like 5 or 6 pieces a day. I realized I listened to like the same 5 songs for a year and a half, and they seem to elicit, the music can elicit synesthesia for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you did you publish your work anywhere, Diana? I mean, this the process of healing, for example, and all those art created, have you ever considered to publish them and share with other how they can use this?
I haven't, but that would be an awesome idea. I mean, we did the one book, the memoir, but I'm open to any way of sharing the art and the process that will help others.
Yeah, I mean, just putting all those together and include little of your feeling with or visualizing your feeling. I think
love
that would
that.
be a great idea to show to people who like seeking like you, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
And I think as you call it, these are cure, and so it help you to heal. So therefore,
yes.
they should be healing for others too.
I love that idea.
Yeah, then when you look at your work and the color you use, also it's
I love that.
yeah. So I'm just thinking, that's something you should consider. And I'm sure there are a lot of publisher, or if not, self-publishing. And
You
which
have any ideas further, let me know.
oh yeah, definitely.
I'd
Definitely.
love to. I feel that's my mission. I love to sell work. That's awesome. It keeps me going. But I love more to give art talks, which my co-author and we do an art talk that shares, it shares the documentary I shared with you, The Color
Yeah.
of Genius, and it shares, like a similar thing of this PowerPoint. It shows my art going through, and people are usually astonished, like, how did you do that? And how do you
Yes.
stay positive? So, I mean, that's my heart. I'd love to be able
Yeah.
to
Like staying positive and healing yourself from within.
healing myself
Yeah. So
through
that's
art.
something many people need to know. And I
Yeah,
think that would be an awesome opportunity.
that's a great idea.
Um,
Yeah.
so like, for example, this one, summer dreaming, which is like, I understand you use a lot of summer colors in the shape
Mm,
and or what is surrounding us, right? So
right.
to create your vision or to kind of capture all those vision and all those dream within one piece, right? And
Yes.
it's about you, but also about others. So like everyone look, they see themselves within it, right? They
Love
can
that.
kind of,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, they
And
kind of relate themselves to every piece. So it's not personal. It is personal and it's not personal in a sense.
yes, I hear what you're saying. And I try to, bring out the bright colors, the joy kind of. I'm almost biohacking myself
Yeah.
by using the colors, the shapes, and taking, something that could be negative and bringing positivity, joy, music, uplifting. I mean, it's hard to look at this piece, at least for me, and think gloomy thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I understand. And you made it into everyday object
Yep.
clothing,
Yep.
which is
I have a clothing line, and that's just like one example.
yeah, very interesting because they are very colorful and beautiful to also wear every day.
Yeah.
So what's this about?
So brain tripping, I think I was feeling, you can see all the little
Yeah.
little doodles. um, I was trying to bring order to my thoughts with this
Mhm.
piece. Um,
Yeah.
sometimes it's a doodle fest.
All
And
right.
that's
Yeah, I
what,
understand. Yeah, as I said, I understand. It's like personal, but also everybody else can relate to it. It
and
is
people
like
see different things.
yeah.
People were seeing a map with this. And I
Yeah.
thought, it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a map of your brain. So
Yes.
I should say, right? And
Very
exactly
much.
what it is. You just said like, you try to put your thought in order. So which is a map.
Yes. Brain
So
tripping.
yeah, you mean didn't think about it when you were creating it. You didn't think
But
about
that
the
was the
map.
outcome. Yep.
Yes. But it
That's,
came out that way because there
yep.
were bad order.
Trying to put order in that moment to
Yeah. So
chaos.
yeah, it is a map,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. I like that. And
Very
flowers, where flowers came from in your
Yes, that was I wrote a poem with this one too.
home. Which
Yeah, about the withered rose. And it just, I was making this, trying to use some natural media feeling with like the paper and caustic.
yeah,
Some um I love roses, and I felt the rose, and I did this one with a friend in mind, a very close friend.
Yeah.
And it actually is hanging in 2 different places. People
Yeah.
own copies. And it's just a rose is a very spiritual symbol for me.
Yeah.
I'm a
Maybe.
Catholic, and one of the saints, this is her symbol. So that's
Yeah, and Virgin Mary, right? That's where
Virgin
the
Mary.
rose windows came from.
Yes, and Saint Therese of Lisieux.
Yes, and yeah, and then the color of rose, which is
Yes.
symbolically in a world of symbols, are connection or unity between two divinity, between feminine and masculine. And
Love that. Love
yeah,
that. And
so
yeah, this isn't a pretty rose necessarily. I mean, it's not meant to be the perfect rose. It's got spots on it. It's imperfection. And
yeah,
that's part of the
human being.
message. Yeah.
Human, it's imperfect. So that's the idea
Yes.
of divinity. The rose itself is divine, but also symbolize this connection between divinity and human.
Very much.
Human imperfect. Yeah, understand it. Definitely understand it. And
Mathy. This is very mathy. And
yeah.
I was feeling, I had just actually watched The Queen's Gambit.
Oh, I love that.
I love it too. So this is kind of my take on doing a little kind of surrealistic, weird optical illusion, putting the balls, and you've got the one off-colored one, and that one's on its quest to
Yeah.
sacrifice.
Maybe you relate yourself to her because she also had vision, right?
Yes,
And
I
so
love her. And she looked like she was having synesthetic vision.
yeah, so that's when I'm just you were mentioning, I said, yeah, I mean, it's because she has the same
I
sense
love,
of
yes, I
daydream
love
and vision. Yeah.
that.
Well, we watched it all the show like in I think couple of days. Me and my
Yeah,
husband.
I just watched it for a second time, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
checkerboard, chessboard, optical illusion,
Yeah, I understand the connection.
Yeah. So anime, this is, kind of a cubistic, abstract. I mean, since I've been doing art for 6.5 years, I don't know everything about art. I
Yeah.
mean, all the different movements, and
You don't need to know. I mean,
I
it's
guess
not
not, because
necessary. Yeah.
it comes.
Because that's about you. It's not about like knowing the movement or a style. It's about what you're creating, right? Art is
Yeah,
personal.
it
So
is personal, but I dealt with a little bit of imposter syndrome at the beginning.
yeah.
I was dropped on the moon. That's what it felt like. Dropped on the moon with this kind of artistic gift. And I'm like, what do I do with it? And how do I fit in? So I
Yeah.
just began like exhibiting right away, even though I didn't even know how to do it. I
Yeah.
did it. So anime, just really kind of a somber, where our society is, it just kind of feels, that was kind of a self-reflection there.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting. I understand.
Yeah. And this one's kind of an autobiographical. After Humpty's fall, you see all the strings. It's like, brain injury. So it's the abstraction version of a brain injury to me.
Yeah.
And I actually have this one hanging in a show right now. It's 30 by 30 on wood. And then the piece on canvas is going to a Sarasota hotel for like 6 months where it'll live.
Wow.
It's almost doodly, it's musical, it's chaotic. You got the wires, the strings, disconnected, connected,
Exactly. Yeah, so but it's all somehow connected too, right? As you said,
Yes. Yep.
disconnected, but it connected through something.
Yes.
And
It
okay.
is. Yep, my experience. And somebody else is going to see something else, but I've learned how important naming pieces are.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first started, it was abstract number 2, abstract number 3.
Because you give a clue when
Yeah.
you put a name. So in a sense, you direct their observation.
That
or
I'm learning.
something.
I've learned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've learned how important it is to name things.
Yeah, then it helped them to kind of look for something within your work.
Yes.
Just want to show you, because almost at the end of our discussion,
Yeah.
I want to show your website, and that everyone can go to this beautiful website and see more of your work, and even you have your clothes and like
Yeah.
created based on your work and thing.
Yeah.
So which is just for everyone to know, you have this beautiful website, and if they want to see more of your work, they can check your website to see more about you and the art you're creating or the process and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so just do you have to finalize our discussion?
Okay.
There are a lot within your work and your word, but to finalize our discussion or conversation, do you have any last word or final or advice?
My advice is pay attention to your intuition, create for you,
Yeah.
and don't worry about the past or competition or imposter syndrome. Just be present in your work, and I really feel authenticity will shine.
Yeah, definitely. And your work are really beautiful and peaceful. And
Thank
I see you in them, but I see others within them too.
you. Yeah,
So in a sense, you make it for yourself, but there are some source of art that everybody else can relay and can relate themselves.
that's what I like, and that's my purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome purpose. And thank you actually for sharing all this beauty and share your life story. I wish we had more time to talk.
Yeah.
But keep going and please share with others. There are many other people, they seek, they
Mm.
look for something like this.
Yeah, and I look forward to sharing even our talk.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Thank you very much, Diana. It was pleasant discussion and conversation with you, and I wish you the best.
Thank you.
I really enjoy our conversation.
I enjoyed it too. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.